The objective of a first date specifically is it is a low pressure, fun background check where you are just trying to gather enough information that you want to see them on a second date. Think about it like this. I want to get enough information to go from A to B. A is first date, B is second date. What's up, fam? It's your boy JJ. This is a mini mansode Friday. Today, I am so excited for this episode. Hey, we're gonna nix the coffee date. I got a lot of thoughts. You guys apparently had a lot of thoughts on this one too. I posted this one on Instagram and I love reading the comments. Some of you guys doubled down and said, I totally agree. And some of you said, JJ, I really don't agree with this take. And guess what? That's fine. That's totally okay. I think my point and what I would reiterate again and again is, fellas, specifically, I love you. I want you guys to go out there and be the best daters possible. I want you guys to glorify Jesus in every single way. And if you want to get married, I want to help you get married. Like, that is my goal. So I think a lot of people, when they hear controversial takes or all these things, I'm not posting these for views. I'm not posting them for clickbait. I'm not saying this because it sounds funny. And I want you guys to remember this unique episode and share it with everyone. I mean, that would be cool if those things happen. But I legit just want guys to be able to level up a little bit to help you out there, to get you on some awesome first dates so that hopefully you get a second date and you get a third date, and then that leads to a relationship, and then you get engaged, and then you get married, and then you guys are an awesome kingdom godly couple. Like, that's my goal for you guys. So when I say nix the coffee date, I promise you it's not for me, it's for you. Okay, so that being said, before I jump into the episode, what I'm loving real quick, dude, I'm so proud of myself. I don't want to flex, but I got TSA pre-check after like 12 years of avoiding this and doing this. I finally did it. And I cannot tell you guys how mind-blowingly easy it was. It probably took me from start to finish about 20 minutes of time. I'm not joking. It probably took me about 20 minutes of time to do it. And so, man, I just want to be a guy who is actually taking a to-do list and ripping through it. I just want to like level up a little bit in how I run my life. And TSA pre-check, this was like, if I'm Moby Dick, this was like my white whale for years. Okay. So I did it. And I don't think people understand. Sometimes we have like this barrier in our mind, this mental barrier. And some of these things are just so hard to do. They're so difficult to do. So I'm really proud of myself. The second thing is I'm in this new program. I'll probably talk a lot more about it later and months and years to come. But basically it's like soul care 101. There's mind care, there's heart care, and like emotional health, mental health, and then there's soul health. I've never really thought about it, but then you hear, verses that say, love the Lord your God with all your mind, soul, and strength. So obviously there's different areas to who we are as a person. But soul is one that I never really felt like I've ever taken the time to define or explore what exactly that is. And so we're in this session, and one of the ground rules he says is we have three things that basically disrupt these sessions, these group sessions together. These three things, when sacred space is being held and deep, vulnerable feelings are being felt and expressed, these three things kill it. Number one, humor. He says, if scuba diving is like what we're doing and we're expressing deep, sacred feelings, then a one-liner or a joke on your behalf is actually alleviating pressure for you and the entire group in a bad way. When we're scuba diving, we want to stay deep underneath the surface, those are really, really special sacred moments that we want to keep exploring. And so when someone uses humor, that is like an escape button for you and for everyone else. That's why people laugh in uncomfortable situations, is because it's actually relieving pressure. He says that comedians are actually really, really great at this because they will build a very uncomfortable situation. This guy gave Dave Chappelle as a great example. He's like the king of building an uncomfortable conversation. And then at the very end, he gives everyone a joke to kind of like escape together. And that is one of the tricks that a great comedian will use. Number two, he actually said, was giving advice. Me and my mentor called this part the professor. But as soon as someone's expressing feelings that you're uncomfortable with, oftentimes we can give advice in that situation to calm them down, to get them to check out, to stop spewing whatever they're spewing. We tell them to go listen to this podcast or book. Sometimes there's mutual excitement where we have gone through exactly what they've gone through and we want to help the situation, but we're kind of cutting them off when we give them advice. Like, okay, shut up now. Here's what you need to do to go fix it. As a husband, I'm very, very guilty of that one. The professor always comes out. And then thirdly, what I really loved was he said, the last one you would never guess, but it's so, so, so crucial to relieving that pressure of feelings. He said is actually encouragement. When you take a moment and someone's sharing deep, vulnerable, sacred feelings and you just like blast encouragement on them, you're not a bad husband. You're a great husband. You should be proud of everything that you've done. You should really not feel that way. What happens to their feelings after that moment? They're gone. They're suppressed. And I would ask, did that encouragement really fix them? Like what they really might have believed about themselves, like did it actually go away when they walk out the door 15 minutes later? So he says those three things, encouragement, advice, and humor, have no place in deep, sacred, safe space. And I'm like, man, that blew me away because I am 0 for 3 when it comes to my wife and relating to her and creating that safe space. I will use all three of those tools to, quote, try and help. But really, it's about me and not about her expressing her feelings. Okay, I hope you guys enjoy that. I'm like, you guys are like, this was supposed to be a fun, easy episode about coffee dates, and now we're talking about deep, sacred space, and you're convicting me, and I'm convicting myself. Hey, we're all in this together, okay? Today's episode, I love it because, again, I want guys to just be able to, because you listen to this episode and this podcast, you're able to level up in the way that you date. And what I mean by that is you're not like this unicorn guy who's so unique and different because you are trained differently. Like, I just want you guys to have confidence the way that you show up in dating. And I want you guys to be able to show up for a girl and really make a great impression and get a second date. Like, I really want that for you guys. And so when I say something like, I want you guys to nix the coffee shop date, first of all, I don't believe in criticisms or critiques without alternative solutions. So I'm going to give all my thoughts, and I'm also going to give you guys a few suggestions as well. Like, one of my pet peeves in life is when people critique, and then they just give no alternative, or they just say, this is a huge problem. They flag it, they express all their feelings about it, and then they're like, okay. I'm like, really? All that time we spent about speaking of like expressing your feelings, we're going to go through all that, and we're not really going to work or focus on a solution together. We're just going to complain about it. So this is not a complaint episode. This is not a ragging on you guys. I did the coffee shop date. I didn't really have a problem with it, but I never really thought about it as being a problem. Okay. So I posted this on Instagram. Basically, long story short, hey, please nix the coffee shop date. Go on these alternatives instead. I know it's controversial. Well, let me hear what you guys think. And ladies, if you agree, let me hear you guys too. And so this is what you guys thought. These are some of your comments on Instagram. After several first dates of mixing in between creative stuff, as you said, nah. All an even bigger waste of time if it doesn't work out. The only value thing gained is lessons learned not to do that goofy mess again. A simple coffee date in a nice environment achieves the exact same outcome. Man, you sound like a really fun guy to go on a coffee date with. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. That was a cheap shot. I'm sorry. Thank you for expressing your feelings. I really appreciate your opinion, and I could totally see how you feel that way, especially after being burned and going through a lot of effort, maybe for a girl, all for it not to work out. Okay, I have thoughts later, but that's all I'll say there. Okay, number 2, respectfully, I don't agree. There's usually already a lot of pressure on a first date. If it's the first time we're ever meeting, coffee is perfectly fine. Thank you for sharing your opinion. It's more than welcome here. Okay, next one. To your point also, nothing screams romantic like having your coffee date while mother nurses her little infant and newborn and juggles multiple screaming toddlers to your left, and a high school couple's argues to the right while they're breaking up. Not speaking from experience, ... eyes emoji. Okay, that definitely sounds like a fun, great date. One of the points is also proven there. Okay, number 4, sitting at a coffee shop for a first date is the beating of a dead horse, in my opinion. The park and some games, a AA baseball game, Whataburger Field, Go Hooks, any free events happening in the local area, the farmer's market, literally something other than the coffee shop, okay? And then the next comment, I feel this way about dinner dates. Please find out what we both enjoy and make it an active date, okay? Next one, I grabbed a lot of these. I wanted to give you guys a whole gauntlet of experiences, okay? I get this, but I assume on a first date especially, women want to feel safe and secure. And not knowing a guy that they met online, are they really going to want to go on a walk or go on a picnic alone? It screams a little sussy, and for more than once, there is trust and safety that needs to be met. And then the last couple comments, I love coffee dates. They're low stress. I really like them. Okay, short and to the point. And then lastly, I thought it'd be fun to end on a disagreement here, okay? She says, I disagree here, and this is from a girl. I'm totally good with a coffee shop as a first date, especially with a stranger, someone from online. It's low pressure, it's affordable, with a get to know you kind of vibe, which is what I want in a first date. There's people around for safety, unlike a park or a walk that could be more secluded or easier to pull you away from others unnoticed. I have an easy out after my coffee if the convo isn't flowing. Plus, I love coffee. I don't need creativity on the first date. I just need a guy who shows up and is respectful and engaging. Okay, first of all, I love that. I love that we have different opinions. Some say I agree. I double agree. Some say this is the worst take and opinion I've ever heard in my life. How could you be so stupid and share anything like this online? You are an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But I would just say, first and foremost, what this just shows me is, hey, we're all different, okay? Some women love the coffee shop as a first date, and some women don't. Some women prefer to go play pickleball. Some are okay with a hike. Some prefer a Zoom date or a FaceTime date to make sure you're not a 70-year-old man who's pretending to be a 32-year-old guy, okay? Like, we're all different, and that's totally okay. So first and foremost, I would just say, as a guy, like, know the woman who you are going on a date with. If you have her Hinge profile and she's an ex-tennis star from college, she's very active and she likes to get out and about, well, guess what? You, my friend, are probably going to be playing pickleball or playing tennis on your first date. Get her in a place where she feels really comfortable. She's in her zone. She's in her element. I think that is a really, really awesome thing you can do. If she's a hiker, you're in the Pacific Northwest and she drives a Subaru, well, guess where you're going? You're probably going on an easy, fun little hike around the city, at the Golden Gardens Beach or at Rattlesnake, okay, if you're in Seattle. That is a great, very public, it's not that secluded, great first date. And then if you date someone who's a little bit more introverted or is very cautious and errs on the side of being safe, then guess what? The coffee shop might be the best place. If they love coffee, that is their jam, like this last woman here, then great, go on a coffee date. Every single woman you date is uniquely different. All I'm just saying is, if you do want to take them on a date, let's just find a way to be a little bit more thoughtful and creative than just a vanilla coffee date. Now, obviously, that's not one size fits all advice. But again, I would just say, if you're going on a coffee date with a girl, what's a way that you can make it a little bit more engaging and fun than just a normal, boring coffee date? Here are my thoughts, my true honest thoughts, if I had to make a pros and cons list about a coffee date in general. And let's see what we can take out of this and transfer. Pros about a coffee date is it requires little planning. I get this. We're all busy. We're asking a girl on a date. I don't have time to map out a 20, 30 minute, what's it called? Like a mystery fun date where I'm leaving clues all over the city. Like I can't go hunt for treasure. Okay. I have an hour and a half, and I want to use that hour and a half as effectively as possible to just get to know her. Okay, I get it. Little planning, little thoughtfulness. It requires zero preparation. I would say in some ways I could see how this is a win for you. I could also see how this is maybe not totally a win for her or the date in the situation. I always like to have a little bit of preparation, not have like a performer or coming off as like a good impression. I just, dates are like important for me. If I'm taking time out of my day and I'm taking time out of your day, I just want to prepare more than less for that. I don't want to waste your time, and I want to waste my time. I want to make this a fun, mutually awesome activity for both of us that even if it doesn't work out, we say and we walk away, man, I really enjoyed that. Okay. Someone said the time involved is elastic, meaning it can be 30 minutes or it can be 3 hours. Again, I think a perfect first date and what we teach in school dating, hour and a half, right on the dot. You can go over, you can go under, but an hour and a half is a perfect first date amount in our opinion. Other pros, it's informal, it's casual. There's a lot less pressure than a formal date. Totally agree. There's multiple exit strategies. I don't really agree with that. I think you can last an hour and a half with just about anyone. This is a list I found online, by the way, as I go through it. It's a familiar environment, meaning it's safe and it's just, there's less complexities. And then lastly, I think I'm a frugal guy, so I get this one and I like this one too. It's cheap. Okay, great. I really think of that whole entire list of say like 10 things. There's 7 things in there. It's casual. It requires little planning. It's a very familiar and safe environment, and it's cheap. It's easy, and it's just like kind of get to know you vibe. I totally agree. Now, my only question is, if I said, hey, I have a favorite coffee shop and right next door there's a park, would you want to grab coffees and go on a walk and then have a fun little game to play at the end? And you play a game of like Monopoly Deal or chess or checkers at the park. Like, first of all, ask the girl which one she prefers. And if she is like, honestly, a coffee shop vibe is totally my jam and I prefer that one, then guess which one you're going on? You're going on the coffee shop, okay? But I would guess the majority of women would like and enjoy the creativeness, the fun, and the easiness of that second date. That required little planning. I actually just came in with it off the top of my head. There's not a ton of preparation involved. It can be, an hour and a half easily. It's very informal. It's a lot less pressure. It's low stakes. It's a very familiar environment. Like it's a public park right there by a coffee shop with lots of people. So it's very safe. It's not that complex. There's not a lot of moving parts, and it's so cheap and it's so easy. So that's what I would say. Like a lot of the things we love about a coffee date are easily transferable into other creative dates. Now, let me talk about the cons of a coffee date. I think it's, first of all, boring. Like that's me and my personality speaking. And I think a lot of people, if you go on 100 coffee dates in your life, it is boring to just go on 101. Like it is boring. It's mundane. It's what everyone does. Okay. For example, and especially as a guy in the way I'm wired, everyone's different, but the way I'm wired, if I meet another cool guy now that I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, and there's a lot of them running around and I want to spend time with this guy, instead of asking them to go on a coffee date, which for me is just, it's not awkward, but it's like the same thing we've always done. We're going to have a great time. I'm sure we'll connect. I would rather go walk a par 3 golf course with you. It's an hour and a half, so same time. We're active, we're walking, we're having a little bit of a competitive, fun, edge to meeting. We can place a little side bet or side game on what we're doing, and it's a really fun way to connect. Okay, so what is going on there? It's kind of like the same thing, what we're talking about here. It's not mundane, it's not boring. There's an activity involved. We're kind of walking and talking as we go. For men and for me specifically, I'll speak on my behalf. It's just kind of hard for me to sit, especially from another guy, and keep eye contact and have those meetings and getting to know each other. I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm just saying I honestly prefer to do it over a golf course with an activity, like and something that's a little bit more engaging for that energy I have. Okay, so and in getting coffee, like for me, another con is I just think it's like a very direct, like overly direct means of like getting to know someone. Like it's very, transactional. Like we're going to meet, have coffee, we're going to suss each other out, we're going to judge each other, evaluate, and then see if we want to get another coffee. Like it almost feels like an introductory, when you like apply for jobs and they just have an intro interview for like 30 minutes to just see if like you would even be a good fit for the company. That's what a coffee date kind of feels like. And we'll talk about the objective of a first date specifically, but while it's like considered efficient, I just feel like it kind of short circuits the process of getting to know someone and like getting to see their personality and how they think and how they approach something, how they handle a game of chess, how they handle a game of pickleball. Do they have a competitive aspect? Do they have energy? How do they interact with a stranger, in the park? What do they think about nature and do they enjoy walking and spending quality time? Like these are all different angles you get when you do something other than a coffee date, right? And then another one is, I actually think that the coffee shop date doesn't always reward different personalities. Like there are just some people who are naturally a little bit more shy. They're naturally a little bit more introverted and they can maybe take time to open up. And so sometimes like the coffee shop, it just like invokes job interview. You're sitting across the table from someone who's evaluating you and judging you. So you got to perform. You got to be a good girl. You got to be a good boy. You got to really, really focus on how you're coming across. And you can't really just be yourself. And so I'm like, anywhere we can get that nervous energy and the thoughts of how I'm coming across or what do they really think about me, anytime I can get a person in a situation where we don't really have to worry about that, like if I'm walking and talking and kind of focusing on golf and expressing myself, I'm not really focused about how I'm coming across to this person. I'm a little bit more focused on this 30-yard chip I have in front of me. Now, that could be a bad thing if I'm overly focused on, our checkers match. But again, I think like we want to kind of replicate what is doing real life with this person look like, okay? And going to coffee shops, like, just that's not really real life in some ways for me personally. Like if I'm having a relationship or a friendship with someone, we're most likely doing active things together. Going to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and walking around for 2 hours, that for me is I'm going to get much more an evaluation of your personality and who you are and what you like and enjoy in life. Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Do you like organic stuff? Do you not like organic stuff? Like we're going to have so much more natural, free flowing conversation just around that kind of stuff in life than we would at sitting right next door at the coffee shop. Okay. So that's my thoughts on pros and cons. I think, the objective of a date is this. The objective of a date, let's go even deeper and more clear. The objective of a first date specifically. The objective, and I think a lot of people would agree on this, is it is a low pressure, fun background check where you are just trying to gather enough information that you want to see them on a second date. Think about it like this. I want to get enough information to go from A to B. A is first date, B is second date. I don't want to go from A to Z. Oh my goodness. You can keep that. My voice did not crack. I had like a little burp come up, but that was so funny. A to Z, and Z's marriage, right? We're not trying to see whether or not we can marry them. I think that was one of the worst attitudes I had in my dating life. I almost boasted about it in this prideful sense. I would literally come out after a first date and like in an arrogant way say, I know whether or not I want to marry them. Like how arrogant is that? And how stupid is that? How short-sighted is that? Can I come out after 90 minutes with someone and say, I know I could spend a large amount of time with that person and they wouldn't annoy me? Yeah. And you can say, I would definitely enjoy spending a lot of time with them. Like you go meet people at a house party, at a birthday party, and a small group, and you hit it off after an hour and a half, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You meet that guy and you're a guy and you're like, man, him and I would bro out. We would have a great time together. I would be excited to see them again. Okay. And then you meet some guys who are a little bit more not the same as you, and that's okay. I would say this, while I'm maybe not over the moon about seeing them again, I could see myself seeing them again and they don't have any glaring red flags or turnoffs, for me building a friendship with them. It's the same thing with dating. Like, we just want to gather enough information that they're not a serial killer. There's no glaring red flags. And what I would tell myself as a 22-year-old is, even if that girl didn't give you that spark, that what I would call a toxic spark, and I hate using that word toxic, but even if she didn't give you that spark, even if she wasn't maybe the most charismatic or extroverted girl that you've seen in your life, like, what is so, quote, wrong about her or bad about her that you don't want to go out on a second date? And if I thought about it like that, I am telling you, I would have gone out on so many more second dates in a great way. I would have gotten to know some amazing godly women without sizing them up for marriage, okay? And so the objective of the date is that low pressure, fun background check. And I think the bonus here is the more I can kind of find out about you and see your personality shine in everyday life, the better, right? And so a coffee shop experience is not really conducive to seeing different angles of their personality. That's why I think the more fun, creative, lighthearted dates that are maybe somewhat competitive or different, you're doing a new skill together, you're learning something together, like, the more you can get into that kind of situation, the more you can see and learn about their personality. And I think that is a total win and awesome thing. And guess what? It's the same thing for you, vice versa. Like, as a guy, if you're not really the most comfortable talking about yourself, like sentence after sentence, and expressing yourself, well, then don't go to the coffee shop. Like, let her see a different aspect of your personality that maybe doesn't always come out. Like, I love that for guys. Not only is it a win for you and serving her and being creative and fun, and she has an environment where she can really blossom and enjoy herself, but it actually works for you as well because she's also evaluating you. So I think it's a win-win slam dunk idea. And the bonus questions I would ask for guys is, number one, just make sure you keep this in mind. How can I keep this safe? Like, how can I cater to her needs? Women want to feel safe and secure. So if I'm taking them out on an isolated date, like men, we don't think about this. We don't think about, it's 9 o'clock at night, which gas station am I stopping at? And does it have lights and is it well lit? That thought has never crossed 99% of the majority of men's brains, but it's come across just about every single woman's brains, okay? Like, safety and security are very important for her. Like, living as a woman in a world with men, like, you just never know. So we always need to keep that in mind. That is such a great bonus question for you to ask. How can I make sure that this environment is safe and secure for her? Okay. And then 2 is, how can I make it lighthearted and fun? Again, if you're going to go to the coffee shop, how can I make this fun, and bring a list of 3 questions, 1 serious, 1 is goofy, and 1 is, just, I don't know, like pensive or thoughtful, or spiritual, like, and then you kind of make them go through, or you bring a list of questions and they pick 5 questions out of a list of 50 questions that you brought. We teach all this in School of Dating extensively, but these are all really good examples of just coming with some kind of idea and preparation instead of just showing up, and they just show up. Like, personally, that's just the way I roll. That's the way I would recommend any guy take on a first date. And that's all I got for you guys. So I hope you guys have the best day ever. Blessings to you guys. And I hope you guys kill it on your next first date. Let's go.